This is Deborah Atkinson, and you're listening to Flipping 50, where I address your top questions and struggles. I share what to eat, how to move, and how to think to get the energy and the vitality you want in this second and better half. And buckle your seatbelts. You're going to be so glad you're listening to this episode. My guest today is Claire Gill, founder and CEO of the National Menopause Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to creating a positive change in how people perceive, understand, and experience menopause. And as we're recording this, it's like happy birthday because the National Menopause Foundation is a month old. So Claire is a storyteller at heart, and she spent her 25-year career assisting Fortune 500 companies, iconic brands, business startups, and nonprofit organizations to communicate and engage with their audiences in more meaningful ways. As a partner in a New York-based public relations agency, Claire led national campaigns for brands including Campbell's, Kraft, and Kellogg. Earlier in her career, she promoted the Oscars of the fragrance industry for the nonprofit arm of the international fragrance industry and spearheaded communications for a national nonprofit supporting a diplomacy program of the United States Information Agency. For the past 6 years, Claire's worked on women's health and healthy aging as a senior executive at a national nonprofit focused on bone disease. During her tenure, she successfully developed and launched a new patient registry to track input and insights directly from patients, a first in the bone health field. Claire served as a media spokesperson for several clients and organizations and has contributed to books and articles regarding public relations and patient advocacy. Claire, I'm so glad to have you here. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much, Deborah. I'm happy to be here.
This is just so exciting. And as I'm reading this, I'm thinking, what a perfect person to be behind the scenes. So I'm dying to know, and it's like I was told as a child, I'm sure it's not polite to ask that, but it's so relevant. How old are you?
That's so relevant because in addition to it being the birthday of the National Menopause Foundation, on Monday, the 21st, I turned 50.
Well, happy birthday. You're finally legally of age to join us. Good.
That's right. I finally made it to the cool kids club, I think.
It's so true. Okay. So obviously we know there's a need, but what led you personally to start the National Menopause Foundation?
Well, as you said, I'd been working in women's health in the bone health field. And one of the things that's very important if our bone health is that all women start to lose bone at menopause. That is a natural fact. It doesn't necessarily mean that we will end up with osteoporosis, which is, porous bones or weakened bones. But it does mean that our bones will lose some of its density at menopause. And so I was very aware, obviously, of what was happening on a health perspective for women at menopause, and then realized that there really wasn't a organization set up to assist women the way there were for some of the other health causes that impact women at midlife. And so I wanted to create a community where women could be educated about the symptoms of menopause, what happens to us physically, emotionally, psychologically, but also a place where we could go to be inspired and learn from one another and make, as you do in your work, make the midlife and beyond some of the most inspiring and productive and healthy years of our lives.
So such a positive message. That is awesome. With all due respect, all right, I'm just gonna recap a little bit. So we start losing bone density at about age 30. We're losing it all the way. We accelerate during any 3 to 5 year period during menopause. And then it slows back down and we keep losing it, just not as fast. So it's a serious problem. And listeners know I'm a big advocate of strength training, and bone density and metabolism both are oh so important as we age. But I just wanted to clarify that for listeners because they've heard me say that. So awesome. Does the organization serve women only going through menopause, or is it also like we talk a lot about here, preparing women maybe to do it better than they've seen it happen in the past.
Yes, it's basically to serve women as they journey to and through and beyond menopause. So we're definitely talking about what women need to do as they sort of hit their 40s and maybe start having some of the symptoms of perimenopause that they might not know about. I think there's so much confusion for women when we talk about menopause in general.
Yeah.
The end of our menstrual cycle is what menopause is. I think what most of us think about menopause are when the symptoms begin and we're starting seeing that changing in our bodies, the irregularity in our menstrual cycle. I think most women just consider that, oh, I'm starting menopause. We don't classify it the way they do clinically. Oh, I'm in perimenopause. Oh, I'm in menopause. I'm postmenopausal. It kind of seems, I think, to most women that it's all the same thing. It's all menopause to us. So we'll definitely be talking about the whole journey. But that's where I want to focus at the moment, not so much pre-perimenopause, but really just as women are entering perimenopause and starting to notice the changes that are leading them to menopause. And then similarly, after menopause, we spend the majority of our years postmenopausal. So what are the health questions we have to be cognizant of at that time? And what should we be on the lookout for? And again, many women, as you know, actually experience symptoms well into their postmenopausal years. So it's very different for every woman.
It is a ride, right? I didn't know I bought a ticket for that one, but I'm on it. All right. And I love that, all of the to and through for sure. And the fact that it is such a still a black hole. It's been happening to women or for women, maybe we should begin to say, for thousands and thousands of years, and yet we're still now just trying to figure it out. And I love that somebody now is trying to be the filter. So what can they expect from the National Menopause Foundation? How will the organization really serve them? I mean, what kinds of content, what can they derive from being a member?
Sure. So before I launched the foundation's website and materials, I actually did a survey of women between the ages of 40 and 70 and asked them some basic questions about how they have been experiencing menopause, the questions they had, and most specifically, how did they want to get information about menopause? What were the delivery mechanisms that they would most prefer? So the top three were they wanted a website, they wanted an electronic newsletter, and they wanted a podcast. So in our month birthday, as you mentioned, you can find all three of those right now from the foundation. We have a lovely website, which is the full name, the National Menopause Foundation.org. We have an electronic newsletter, appropriately called the Hot Flash, that you can sign up for on the website. And we have a podcast as well, which is called The Positive Pause, which will be coming out monthly. So to start, that's what you can find on the website. As far as membership, those who join and want to be a little bit more involved in the organization will have access to webinars with some topical experts that will give them a little bit more one-on-one contact with our experts, as well as discounts on some products specific to menopause that our experts and influencers have tested out and tried and recommend. And then, again, access to more information and opportunity to share their experience and influence where the organization goes from here.
I love it. And I love that your marketing background, you just can't help yourself. So obviously we're going to have a little fun here, the hot flash and the positive pause. I love it.
Yeah, right. And again, I want it to be something that's fun and interesting for people because, I don't want to read something that's boring or, have something that's completely clinical. I do want there to be a little bit of fun to it, but also make sure that we're covering topics in ways that women can understand and connect with and hopefully, as I said before, be really inspired by. So that's really the ultimate goal. I have obviously a lot of great plans for what I would like the organization to grow into, but I want to make sure that as we start out of the gate, we're providing as much accurate information and as much materials as we can to women to help them quickly identify what information do they need, how can they communicate better with their doctor or their partner or their family member about what they're experiencing at this stage of life, and then directing them to great resources that are already available. As you and I have talked about, wow, you're doing incredible things, and a lot of other organizations are doing incredible things, and there's wonderful resources available to women, but it's really hard in our busy lives to keep track of all of those things or to find all of those things. So I hope, again, that I'll be able to direct people to where they can go for specific detailed information that they might need, that will help them on their journey that's very specific and very personal.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I can echo the sentiment that you've got in building this, and that's that even though there is information out there, they don't necessarily know what to trust.
Right.
They can't possibly, in the little time that we all have, I think we all have that complaint, our biggest priority is filling our time with the right things. We're also so busy, so nobody has time to filter through things, and they want a trusted individual or a trusted agency or organization where they can go and know that, okay, somebody's done some of the legwork for me, and
Mm-hmm.
here's the pot of gold I can dig through.
Yeah, I agree. I think curating and collecting and providing it is a big role for those of us who are in these organizations that are providing specific information to women. It's, again, how to make it simple, how to make it easy to find, and then being able to direct them, as I said, to experts when they need more specific information about something. So yeah, so that's what we're all going to do, and I'm excited that that we're doing this type of thing together and being able to bring women what I hope they will benefit from.
What do you see for yourself? So as CEO and founder, as you go into the what's the next and the next, I mean, what do you see, say 3 and 5 years from now as your role? What will you be doing literally or want to?
Yeah, well, what I hope I'll be doing is still managing a very successful organization that supports women, that's better known, that we really have something that when women start to enter menopause or start to notice some changes in their body that might be, confusing to them, that they've already heard about and know and trust. Oh, there's the National Menopause Foundation, and I'm going to go there and start, my journey and my research from that point. I also hope that I'll be able to elevate um, the importance of menopause and women's health at the national level legislatively. I mean, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and you have seen the articles yourself, and I've posted them on my website as well, about what happens with women's health and how we are treated differently. That's true for what research dollars are spent on, and what types of services, either screening or access to treatments or access to procedures, are covered by insurance. I want to make sure that, again, we have this grassroots organization that is standing up and advocating on behalf of women at menopause and saying, here's what we need the answers to. There's great stuff being done. Here's where the gaps are. And that this organization, and me, particularly my role, can be making a difference, ensuring that moving forward, women's health and menopause is a priority.
Fantastic. And I want to make sure before we go down a side path, I may ask you a couple more questions. I want to mention the URL. Where can people go to learn more about what's up right now?
Again, going directly to the website, the National Menopause Foundation, nationalmenopausefoundation.org is really the best starting place. We also are on social media. You can find us on Facebook at National Menopause Foundation. You can find us on Twitter, and you can find us on Instagram. All of those with some variation of National Menopause Foundation, we should come up. And again, having that kind of dialogue socially with women has been terrific. When you get to our website, that again is where you can find access to what I'm most excited about is our free online community. It's called the Menopause Metamorphosis. And then there, women can log in anonymously, set up an account, and talk with one another about their questions and their concerns. I will have experts that log in and help answer the questions, but it's really a peer-to-peer community. And I think that's what's been missing. And it's what we've talked about. Well, it would be great, when you can chat with your girlfriends about it, or if you have a partner that you feel comfortable talking about with it. But this will be another opportunity where you can, again, like I said, anonymously go on, pose your questions from the mundane to the insane, if you think so, and kind of get a response from women out there being like, no, I know exactly. I went through that, or here's what worked for me, or is anyone else experiencing this? So again, I would encourage women to go to the website and sign up for, or just click on the online community button, and that will take you to that to be able to start interacting and engaging with other women.
So good. And if you happen to be right now, you're listening and you're running, you're walking, you're lifting, or you're commuting, I've got you covered. All the links will be in the show notes. So never fear. We've got you. Claire, there's always a question that I ask at the end of podcasts or toward the end, and that is there a question I should have asked you?
That's great. I think we've covered a lot. I mean, I think I'm just reiterating what I hope women will turn to the National Menopause for is a little of that, inspiration as well as education. And but otherwise, I think we've covered a lot of topics, and I hope we'll be able to do it again.
Definitely. Yes. Okay. We're going to have to celebrate your 6th month, your 1 year.
The year. And this at 3 to 5 years to see if I lived up to what I just told you. That would be fabulous.
And I anticipate a lot of our Flipping 50 listeners will also be interested and will be hopping over there to say hello. So thank you, Claire, so much. First of all, not just for being here, but for stepping out, for seeing a need, for doing something on behalf of so many women. Just in case you're listening and you're not aware of this, 6,000 women a day enter menopause. 6,000 a day.
It's amazing, right? And
right.
This should be our most powerful and impactful time of our lives. So let's do that.
Yep. We have wisdom and life experience we've never had before. And this should be one of our juiciest times of lives ahead. So again, thanks so much, Claire.
Thank you.
Listeners, if there's a question that you've got that I didn't ask, please leave it below the show link at flipping50.com/NMF. I love hearing from you, and I'm sure Claire would love to see you over there. If this episode was helpful, please leave a rating in iTunes and then share it with a friend. Surround yourself with a supportive community of women on this same journey. To get the most from this week's episode, again, and all the links we mentioned and the ways to connect with Claire and the National Menopause Foundation, check out today's show notes. And that again is flipping50.com/NMF, where you'll find all of those links and the resources we mentioned. What are you waiting for? Let's start Flipping 50 together.